Hello, my name is Guilherme Furlan and I'm the creator of the Project Management Craft. I help engineers to be high-performing project managers. The content here today is part of the warm-up for the Project Management Week that's going to happen between 6th of December and 9th of December. Then if you're interested on that, go in the link here, click there, subscribe, and see you there. Today, I'm going to talk about how to increase your confidence and which steps you need to follow to be a high-performing project manager. I get questions quite often from people like feeling that they're lost. Like, first, project management is very broad, and they are lost of in how the content there's waterfall, there's agile, PMBOK, all types of different certifications, and people say I do not know where to go for, where should I start? And I also get the questions that people that try to read the PMBOK but did not work, and they say I start to read it and I was even more confused than that, or even then that they're kind of getting lost in their day-to-day work. They don't know what to tackle, they don't know how to prioritize, they start to lose confidence, and they really start to struggle because once you start to lose confidence, a lot of other problems will come up. First thing that I'm going to tell you that don't worry, if you're starting right now, that's completely normal that you're feeling lost. I can tell you the first time I my first contact with project management was in 2006. In 2006, I was still in the studying to be engineer in the time during the graduation, and I remember that I saw PMBOK and I tried to read it and say, "This is useless. This is just a bunch of paper. I'm not going to get anything from here." And I was completely lost in how this paperwork and documentation and so on. That's what I'm telling you. I know by experience that's common if you're feeling like wait like that. Then like no worries. And this is everything is part of it. It's part of a process. And from this first experience until I really start to learn project management, it took me some time. Gladly after this experience, I thought that project managers was just a waste of time. I got few years later, I got an internship in a big company in the project management department. And there I really say, oh, okay, then I see some purpose from from this thing called project management. But of course, it was my first experience. I did not know anything about PMBOK. I did not have the good foundation. And I remember that the, f- probably in the first month of my internship, people start to talk about NPV and RRR. I was like, what are those things? What those people are talking about? For me, it was kind of like a different language. People start to talk, and I was like, I could not understand anything. And it was like that. And what I did at the time, I Google, of course, and I find a really small book. I bought it because I want to understand what's an NPV, what's an IRR, and how it's calculated. Of course, I was studying engineering, and how to calculate things was not a difficult thing, at least for me at the time. And then I remembered and I started to learn, okay, so this is an NPV, this is an RR. Okay, now at least I know what they are talking about. It's like at least we were talking the same language, but it's still I couldn't. It's like you can read, but I could not understand the meaning of that. It's like if you can read the first pages of a book, of course you can read the words, but you do not get the meaning for the entire text. That was what was happening there. But it was that way, and of course, even though I was not fully understanding, but at least when they start talk about that, I start to pay more attention. I start to open a business case, start to look, okay, what's the business case? What the book is saying? How should I calculate this? Then I look in the Excel. Oh, but Excel has a specific formula how to do that. Okay, that helps. And even from that, okay, I start to understand what's an NPV, what's an RRR. But I remember the next thing, the discussion started in the department was about accounts receivable, and accounts receivable, it was something I was completely lost. I was like, what are you talking about? Accounts receivable? We are getting the money here. And honestly, it took me some time to understand what accounts receivable really means. But again, that's part of the process. Every time you're learning something new, you face those challenges. Then it's really normal to feel lost and to not understand things and have this feeling like, I had the feeling that maybe I'm stupid. I don't know what's happening here. If you have this same kind of feeling, I'm telling you, no worries. You're going to get there as long as you follow the right steps. And I can tell you, every time since then, this is, I think, more than 10 years ago, for sure. And sometimes I feel that way every time I'm trying to learn something that's completely new. You kind of start to feeling, okay, you don't know where to start, you feel overwhelmed, it's too much stuff. And it's like if you're, it's exactly the same, kind of the same thing if you're visiting a new city or a new country. Once you get there, you don't know where is anything. You don't know where you don't know where to buy food. You don't know where your hotel or hostel or whatever you're going to stay. You don't know the public transportation. You don't know name of the streets. But how you figure out? Well, usually you have a map and then you start to go that. And if you stay there for long enough and you don't need the map so often and things start to get better. And it's the same thing if you're learning project management. And then what do you need to do to kind of move through this feeling and start to grow in your profession, and then you can gain confidence. Even though if you're already starting to work with project management, you might feel lost with the content prioritization, tasks in the project. You don't know how to select what your team members are doing. Well, the first thing that you need to do to move with that is start to laying a good foundation there, a good knowledge foundation there. Why I'm saying that? Because with this good knowledge foundation, you start to understand why things need to be done, why those things are there, and you can start to build on, like building a house. If you want to have a big house or if you want to have a big building, you do not start building or you do not start trying to put the roof. You need to start laying down a very good foundation, a very solid that can sustain everything that you want to build. Then this knowledge will be like that. And I can tell you, I have done more than 300 hours of training only in project management, excluding my engineering degree, excluding a lot of those stuff from MBA, post certification, and so on. And I can tell you, from more than 300 hours, I continue to do training every year, and my goal is to do at least 4 or 5 trainings every year on top of my own time studying stuff, reading books, and everything else, applying. But that's a process. If you're learning, you continue to grow. Of course, the type of training that I'm going to do today, it's very different from the type of training I was doing like in my first year working with project management. And that's also part of the growth. Right now I'm starting to learn different stuff. I have different challenges and I start to grow and keep building on that. But everything needs to come from a very solid foundation. And reading the PMBOK, that's not the right way to build a foundation. First, because if you don't know anything about about project management, reading the PMBOK will not help you. I can tell you also, trying to study for a certification, that's not the right way to start with project management. Because if you are preparing for a certification, there's a lot of other stuff that's around it. Like if you're preparing for a PMP exam, you are also taking you stuff that you do. You are doing simulations. You're counting the time that it's taking you to answer each question. You are looking for ways to answer questions faster. And those things will take your focus from laying down this solid foundation. Then first you lay down the foundation of the house, and later you start to build it. Then you can build a very nice house. You can put a roof, you can have a pool, and you can buy a big screen. Those are the nice stuff, but they only can be done after you lay down the foundation. And doing laying down this knowledge foundation, that's not something that you're going to just watch a video 1 hour and say, now I'm done. I just told you that I have more than 300 hours of training only in project management, excluding everything else that I've been studying in my life. Why? Because the first time I was in a training, I studied something, I got to a level of knowledge. Then the second time, I'm going to learn, I'm moving for a bit higher. It's like going up in a stair. I just start walking and I'm going up and building up, learning new stuff, great getting new tools, seeing different ways to applying it. Then the first step that you need to take, it's really making sure that you lie down the right foundation, making sure that you learn the different frameworks, making sure that you get a decent finance knowledge, making sure that you understand the entire environment of the project management. I'm not saying understanding to be a specialist uh, from day to night, but I'm saying you're going to say, okay, now I understand what's a waterfall approach. Now I understand what's an agile approach. Now I understand what the PMBOK means, why those things are there, how they work together, and then you start to build. And the next step for doing that is taking everything that you are learning and start to look that in practice and how can you apply that. Because I also can tell you, you can start how much you want about a WBS, work breakdown structure. But if you have never done a WBS, likely you're going to have a problem. Then you're going to say, learning about something, reading about something is different than doing something. It's like swimming. You can learn a lot about swimming techniques and how to do it, but once you jump in the pool, that's something different because execution takes practice. And of course, they go together. You are learning new things. Then you start to practice. Okay, then you get to a new level. Then you learn new things. They practice, and you get to a new level. And that's how you need to build your career. And I told you that in the beginning I was lost. I remember that just my after my internship, I was hired as an engineer, planning and controlling engineer for EPC projects, engineer procurement and construction. And I remember, of course, I got the training. The first 2 months, I got field on field training. And after that, I was like, okay, now I need to plan my first project that was already quite big. It was 10 construction sites divided, spread in 5 cities. Then I was like, okay, prepare the planning. But I remember that in a lot of days, I was thinking, okay, what should I do today? I don't know what to do today. And how do I figure out what do I need to do? Because it was my first experience. I was like, And then after you say, okay, I'm going to do that, like at the time I was like, okay, I'm going to look for the designs, but how do you how do you have the confidence if what you are doing is the right thing? Of course, after some time I figure out I don't have this problem anymore. Then after a while you already know the priorities and you already know how to organize yourself and plan your agenda. But this, I remember very clear this question, what should I do today? I don't know what to do. And if I start to do something, how do I know that I'm doing the right thing right now? How do I know I'm tackling the right priority? Then this is everything is a process. More you mature, more you grow. You are going to also to build your confidence. Then you learn how to set up the right priorities. And based on the priorities, you know how to plan your agenda, what actions you need to do. Then setting up the right knowledge foundation, start to applying it because once you look for the practice and what you are learning, like I just mentioned a WBS, then you try to do a WBS, then you're going to find some challenges there, or hopefully you're going to find something, but you're going to build your first WBS. The second WBS will be better the first one that you build. And the third really important thing is to create a good routine around that, because then you're going to have a routine to make sure that you continue to learn, you continue to expand your knowledge. Then, if you have the right foundation for the house, you can start to build more stuff. Or if it's a building, you can put more floors, you can have a pool, and you can have a very nice stuff around it, which also will add value for you and for your career. Getting knowledge, making sure that you're going to apply it, but everything that those two things, they need to be part of your routine. Why? Because otherwise life will get in the middle. How many times you plan to do something and say, okay, I want to do that, but you keep procrastinating just because that's something exceptional that you might end up doing 1 week or 2 months. And an example of that is like the PMP exam. A lot of people, they start to study, but because they never really defined this plan to be part of their routine, how to get to the exam, they've never taken the test, and they keep procrastinating. And I've met honestly, I think more than 100 people that they did even a prep study, they bought a book, they studied for some time, but because they did not have a clear plan, part of their routine, what they should do in the day to day, they've never take the test. Then they wasted all the investment and all the hours. Well, not wasted, because hopefully they learn at least something in the process, but they've never get the certification. And it's the same thing to you. If you want to continue to grow as a project manager, if you want to continue, and more you learn, more you apply, better your confidence will be, and then better your performance is going to be, because you are sure that you are tackling the right things to do there. But if that's not part of your, I've met people that they start work with project manager, then probably they did one training or two trainings in their life because the company sent them to do that. Say you must do that, otherwise, otherwise it's not an option for you. But they were never interested in learning or doing more trainings. They were not interested in continuing to learning, applying their training, get better to their performance. And when you look back after 5 years, those people are in a very different spot from the people that continue to do that. And I've seen a nice way to show. I've seen a very nice video from Michael Phelps. If you've never heard about him, he's the person that has the record number of medals in any Olympic Games. I think he has more than 20 gold medals. And one of the things he was saying about his training, he was saying that swimming is not like a rock science. What I did from different from other people, why I'm outperforming all those people, because if you lose one day, if you rest one day on swimming, basically you are two steps back. Then the next day in your training, you need to recover for the level of you are, plus put some extra effort to progress there. And while people they were taking one day off per week, because they have a day off for the training, while I was preparing for the Olympics, I was training 365 days a year. Then that compounds, right? Because if people would not train one day, then they would have two steps back, one step back. Then basically they had to recover where they were, plus some effort to get extra. Because he was not stopping this process, he would usually every week he would gain some advantage about against other competitors. And that's how he outperformed everyone in all the Olympics very, very, very often. Like if you see 20 gold medals, you know that this guy was doing something right. And what I'm telling that, because that will be the same thing with project management. If you do one training one day and say, okay, I learned something new, but you do not continue to do that, I'm saying project management, but that's basically everything in your life. And there's someone else that continue to learn, continue to study, continue to apply it, and this is part of their routine. Yeah, 1 year, 1 year, 2 years, you are going to see yourself in a very different place. This guy will be here because he's learning, and you'll be here way below. And more the time passes, more this difference will increase. Then it's very important here that you continue to learn, but and you make sure that this is part of your routine. Then again, just to wrap up, if you want to stop being lost, what you need to do, first, continue to learn, build build your solid foundation there, and continue to build a nice house or a nice building. Make sure that you are applying the knowledge that you're getting, and make sure that the studying and the training is knowledge that you're getting and applying. This is a consistent part of your routine. Then, in the long term, you are going to make a huge difference in your career and for your personal growth. If you like this content, please click in the button like here, and also please share with other people that you think that might be interested on that. Uh, Again, this is part of the warm-up content for the project management week. I'm going to share much more on how you can start as a project manager and how you can improve your performance. If you're interested on that, just click in the link here and subscribe. This is for free. I hope I see you there. And if you have any questions, please put here in your comments. I'm going to do my best to answer everything. Thank you and see you soon.